An artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping, girl, to see justice before it won. My hair all face to gray before Jesus comes back and before it all fades to black. Yeah, he's a girl Cadillac. Anyways, I was just on live, but my phone went to bed, my tablet went to bed. So we're back. I'm gonna jump right back into it. I was showing you my Prisoner Family magazine that I created in hopes that it is not that hard for the next person wrongfully convicted, because you know Marcello's not the first and he ain't gonna be the last, because this is quite common to happen, and we're not stopping it from happening. So it's going to continue to happen. People are going to continually be wrongfully convicted. Valentino Dixon was wrongfully convicted a decade prior to Marcello. So I'm sure a decade after Marcello was wrongfully convicted, there was the next young guy that was wrongfully convicted. And it's going to go so on and so on, because we're not trying to stop these wrongful convictions. We sit there and act like, oh no, there's no way. They can't do that. They don't do that. And all that other stuff. That's exactly what Valentino Dixon said. That people just, he was free because he was painting golf courses. Well, actually drew because he was using color pencil. He was doing golf courses, and he was so good at it. And the people that he wrote at Golf Digest literally did not believe his story. So I don't know. And then finally they start looking into it. Like, okay, let's go on and look into his story. And the more you look into the story, it's like this book. Let's say I read this book. I come across the cover and I'm like, girl, I don't like books like that. There's no way that book is good. There's no way this and that. Oh, that's a horrible book, but I've never opened the book. I'm telling you, hey, this book is good. Girl, you got to go read that book. That book is good as I don't know what. But you telling me, oh, girl, ain't no way that book is good. Oh, that book can't be good. Like, girl, how would you know until you open the book? Oh my gosh. That's good. Oh, that's good too. You know, like until you start actually looking at the inside of the pages, that's when you're going to know, yeah, there's something wrong with this story. Yeah, it looks like, no, there's something going on here, y'all. You got to open the book. You got to listen to his story for you to understand how he's wrongfully convicted. You can't just write me off because I said my husband's wrongfully convicted and excessively sentenced, and then, oh, close ears. Let's close ears now because there's no way. But let's get back to this, and then we're going to jump back into a couple of videos for Valentino Dixon. Is this going to work? Because if I turn that on, well, I guess we got enough light. If I turn on the ring light, it's going to flash off of my laptop. That's not going to work. So let's go on and finish this one. My Family United magazine.
But let me tell you, them streets ain't like that. What if something happened and I was there? And I tried my whole life to play by the rules and do the right thing. It takes 1 second. One wrong decision can end you up in there. Your one decision. That means every decision you...
And that also means that everyone is closer to being in prison than they really think. And most people think they're far above, like, oh, those are for those people. And, it can't happen to you. Baby, you are one decision, one step, one wrong ID from being in that prison cell yourself.
Hey, you better think about it. Think about your consequences. Because you don't know how it can play out. And if you ever end up in that system, you will see how fair it is. It's not. And we don't have a voice. They silence us. And then they replace our voice with images that they show everybody to let them think that this is right. This is how it should continue on. Yes, we need to get tougher on crime, and that's going to clean up our streets. Being tough on crime, being tough on crime. That means Orlando and Florida should be like the best place to ever come vacationing. Like you should be able to leave your doors open and everything, as tough as they've been on crime. But let me tell you, them streets ain't like that. It's still crime going on, still people still. So it's not really helping.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually adding to it because now you got this whole generation that my child then came up in, and a lot of them, they fathers are off in prison, and you wouldn't even believe it. Let me tell you, a lot of people that have a loved one in prison, they're embarrassed, and sometimes I feel it rear up in me, that embarrassment. But I always think, number one, I think God prepared me for this. That's why I had to be that outcast. That's why I had to be bullied and not allowed to fit in. I couldn't fit in if I tried to fit in. So now I don't even want to fit in. I'm different as different can be, and I don't want to be like other people. Like I want to be who I am. And I think by God taking me through those things, that bullying, that shunning that I went through, I think about it. I'm like, well, I'm still going to stand up for what I believe in. Whether you stand up, whether you stand up, whether you stand up, I'm going to stand up because this is what I believe in. And I believe this is the right thing. So for a lot of people dealing with the prison system, they're embarrassed. And the thing is, our voices get silenced, and we don't know how to tell our stories. There's nowhere really to go, especially when I was introduced to the justice system. There really was nowhere. But now we have online communities. Now online does censor the heck out of you. Censor, censor, censor. So you cannot say everything that you want to say, need to say. You can't communicate everything. It is blocked. So it's still these, boundaries you got to play in. In some kind of way, you got to get your message across. I don't know how. It's very tricky. But we do have social media that is showing a lot of the real. And without social media, I think we would always still have the straightforward news media that be trying to feed people stuff sometimes that ain't even all the way what it really is. Like, always analyze what you see. Think about it. Think about it. Does it really sound right to you? Think deeper. Put yourself in that person's position or in they shoes, and you know what I'm saying? And come up with your own conclusion. Don't let nobody form your conclusion for you. Form your own conclusion. And that's how I am because I was outcasted. I didn't know how to come to conclusions with other people because, heck, I wasn't even around other people like that. So you go through being embarrassed. Do I tell people that my loved one is there? But how do you get help if you don't tell somebody you need help? So though it rears up sometimes, I'm embarrassed, but hey, I need help. This person might know this person that know that person that know that person that can help me. So I need to tell you. Some type of way I need to tell you. Plus, I'm shy. So most time I'm going to tell you through my artwork. I'm going to tell you through a song. I'm going to tell you through, you know what I mean? Like for years, I've been on Facebook, and my profile pic is with a person in a prison like outfit, and we like kind of booed up, booed up. Anyway, like, so it's kind of awkward being in your class, like you're in college, and a lot of your assignments are due, and you have the profile picture as you an inmate. You know them question marks popping people's head, like what the hell? Like, who am I sitting next to? Like, who is this girl? But girl, look. Once you know me, once you get to know me, I am the most honest, trustworthy person you probably ever would meet in life. Genuine person. And tend to get stereotyped. And I want real stories from real people dealing with this system. We don't have to be ashamed no more because we love people that are incarcerated or have been incarcerated. We don't have to be ashamed anymore. They should be ashamed what they're doing to society, but they're not. So we don't need to be ashamed. I want to tell our stories. I would like to tell other people's stories. Other people submit their stories to this magazine. So I'm formulating some stuff. I'm gonna let y'all know how it works. But the first issue, I put it together because Lobby Day did happen. Lobby Day was different this year because of social distancing. Usually, it is one day that you everybody goes to Tallahassee, the state capital here in Florida, and would come to the Capitol and just gather together and have their signs and protesting and this, we want this bill, we need change on this, we need, this is an issue and stuff like that, because the committees are forming bills that could, change things and change laws and stuff. So that's the time to rally together to get your point across. But they did it different this year because it's social distancing. So everything was basically done by like TV. The committees would be in whatever, I don't know if it's courtroom or building, state building, wherever they were, and you would come to the civic. It was like a civic center or something like that, and it was a big open room. Everything social distance. Every chair in front of you is 6 feet apart from the chair in front of, behind you, and the chair to the left of you is 6 feet apart, and the chair to the right of you is 6 feet apart. Everybody's spread out, but then maybe 20 people could fit in this big open room with chairs, whatever, and you can get up and tell your loved one's story or how these bills that we're suggesting could affect your loved one coming home, or it's like putting a face to mass incarceration. See, the problem with mass incarceration deals with numbers. And I think I said that before. Who cares about a number? Marcello is X388, blah, blah, blah. That's a number. But he's not an X388, blah, blah, blah. He is Marcello Jackson. You understand? They don't even call them by their names. They call them inmates or their DC numbers. So they make them a number. And who cares about crunching numbers? Mass incarceration is about crunching numbers. But these numbers represent people, human lives, people that were born into this world, people that will die, people that breathe like you, that sweat like you, that everything just like you. Are you a number? I'm not a number. I'm not a number. So, and I'm not a color. I'm a human. So don't even categorize me by color either. I'm not a color. I'm not a number. I am a human being. Marcello is a human being. So if they start seeing them as human and seeing how it's affecting humans out here, and my daughter that's a human, and others that are humans, maybe they'll be like, well, maybe this is not what we should be doing. Maybe we should be trying to rehabilitate humans, because you're not going to try to rehabilitate a number. And you already think they should be X'd out of society anyway, right? So you really don't care what happens to them. So it's to put a face to it. And this was the first time my daughter, she came. I was there. I got to tell my story. We actually talked to committee members and senators and stuff via Zoom. And you would tell your story. We didn't tell our story at the big committee town hall, but one-on-ones with committee members and senators and stuff, we would have like a group of five, and we would tell our stories. It was like two mothers there telling their stories of their sons that they birthed into this world. That's their baby. That's like my baby, my big baby. Can you imagine your baby? That's your baby. That's your heart. That's you. You care about that baby more than you care about yourself. Can you imagine your child going into this system
Okay, so
as
I
a
get
child?
back into the video here, so I'm skipping ahead.
About it, I'm
The
a 80s
magazine.
baby, and I did not grow up with all this different
So that's my
being exposed to
Prisoner
media,
Family
this, and that.
magazine.
So when I first went to school, like everything for me that I thought was good was they would call it dated. No, that's not good. No, you can't do that. So I was so discouraged. It was to the point where I was going to quit graphic design because I couldn't do anything. Like it seemed like everything I did was wrong. So the one thing that they always said I was good at was coming up with punchlines and awesome titles. Like sometimes the text that I would write, my teacher would be like, um, the design can use a lot of words, but who wrote the copy? And I'll be like, I wrote it. And she was like, oh my God, this is really funny. Like, it's light, it's good. Like, you're a great writer. I always wrote the best, like, titles and stuff like that. So, yes, so that's mine. Bars between us. A parent might be out the picture, but not out the heart. Then I have missing milestones. This was a new area I stuck in there. So the only part that was prison related was the cover, and then it was the feature article. Now the total magazine is related to families dealing with the prison system and different issues that's within it. I want people to kind of submit me their stories so that I can like put them in my magazine, and I want to compile an email list that I can get start circulating this magazine through email form, you know. And then I got the last article, Daddy's Gone. So I kind of built this magazine with my story and my daughter's story, my family's story. But you know, each issue will change. It'll be another person's story and another person's story. So I have the table of contents page. That needs some more work, but I was trying to
That's
rush.
money
Then I
and
got the in-house
Marcello.
ad, Family United magazine. Then I got contributor. Well, I can't even say what I got. Let's turn this light on. Thanks, Steve. Oh, so contributors. Usually, this is the
All
area
me,
where all
it's
the
all
people that
me.
contributed everything go into the magazine. But I have contributors. It's all me slash it's all me because it is all me. You know, right now Cadillac is jack of all trades. So it's me, a big picture of me. That's my profile picture that I love. That picture, if you don't know the story behind that one, is that picture that I painted of Monica. I believe that's one of my best paintings. Like I really love that
I
picture,
did
and
that.
it was a project.
And what I didn't realize, which is very prophetic, I didn't know the album that she had when she was talking about. I didn't know. I never know she was with C. Mert. I did not know that at all. Corey Miller. I did not know that. And that song that you should have known better. I didn't know that video and that song. All of that was for him. And that is the album cover. I did my thing with that picture, and people said that was one of my best paintings. Like I literally took my time with that. And when I was in a photography class, and we were supposed to do self portraits. It was supposed to be the artist, um, basically photographing themselves. And when I took it to actually, I was mimicking the piece. And I was basically, what I had in mind was, could I be as beautiful as my art? Because, my whole life, the only thing that people liked me for was literally my art. It's like all my beauty is in my art. Like there's no actual beauty in myself. So can I be as beautiful as my art? That's what I was trying to say in that.
World where I would.
Then I took it later, desaturated it. I put all the flower in the lips. I made that all
To see
pink,
Monica.
and that's my
But of
profile.
course, she didn't
I
get
love it. I
to. I
love
was
my
too far
branding.
back, and she didn't see the painting, so I didn't get it to her. Nothing like that. But it always I thought was my most beautiful painting. So this we had to do a
That's
self
the
portrait,
picture too.
and I kind of put
Several
my
of them.
a flower in my head like how Monica had in that picture, and I was like,
See, it
can
was red.
I wanted to see if I could, the beauty of me, sometimes I think is only what I do. I don't see outside beauty in me. And can I be just as beautiful as my art? Am I just as beautiful as my art? Or is my art all that makes me beautiful? That's what I was trying to say with that, but whatever. But it's Cadillac Dixon. Cadillac is an artist with art forms being fine artists, mediums being pencil, charcoal, acrylic, and oil paint, graphic and web designer, musician, songwriter, composer, and rapper, spoken word and performance poet, and lastly, licensed cosmetologist and hair artist. In this issue, Cadillac will discuss certain issues. Why I got a typo there? See that? Oh, that ain't no typo. I just can't see. Okay. Certain issues that come up
Legally
when
blind
children have to
artist.
deal with the incarceration of a parent. Cadillac's husband has been incarcerated since their almost 20-year-old daughter was 9 months old. She wants to take the things their daughter, and husband have endured and hopefully pave a way that is more fair and just than the way her family came. Yeah. See them little writing skills, John? Yes. I always
Always
loved
been a
writing.
good
Back in
writer.
the day, I did contemplate being a journalist, but I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in college the first time. I didn't do any. I never did anything good except for like art. Like I wasn't good at nothing else. It seems like I always was like, why do I have to be an artist? And like, why don't I have like my mother? She was so awesome. She did a lot of things, but the things that she did actually made money. Like she was this very
Do
like
I show
she
any
did
more of the
taxes and she did like budgeting and stuff like that. She had
trying to
just got
skip
her
through it because
master's
this is
in
a long
business
video.
management. That was actually a song title that I did. I'm a single mother by force, not choice. Yes, that's the type of music I tried to do. I always wanted to uplift people, and that song there, when that came out, it was crazy. I would go like to the WIC offices, and I would go to other places that tend to have single mothers there, and I would try to talk to them and be like, you can do anything you want to do. Don't just settle for this. Let's come up. Let's try to. If anybody, but not only takes a toll on the mother, it takes a toll on the children and the family as a whole, especially when it is not the parent's choice. Yes, that was never my choice to be a single mother. But you know what? When I was put in that role, that sure, I think I rose to the occasion.
Mm-hmm.
So the first article, Daddy Missed My Childhood. And this
I'll
is
zoom in.
a
I
this
wrote
first
this and
article is about my daughter growing up without her father. And well, she did have him. He was in her life, but not physically all the time as much as we would have liked. But he was in her life. So my little my hero picture, my hero image is the left side is a card. You know, when you have a loved one that's in prison, you we all
That's
know
so
to get those
sleepy.
cards that they have somebody draw or paint. They'll give them some coffee bags or whatever for this artwork because art is a commodity in prison. So that's one of the cards he sent me home for my daughter. I kind of cut me out the picture, and this is a picture of her and him, you know, side by side. This is both of the pictures. The one that was drawn and my daughter. She seems to have this little gloomy look on her face though. So it kind of does. And he has like a half smile. So it I think it predicts like it shows the right emotion. Okay, growing up can become a very uncomfortable time for a child when one of she or he parents are in prison. All the child wants to know is why. Why do I have to go to visit daddy at his house? And he never comes to our house. Yes, my daughter used to think the prison was daddy's house. She would say, when can we go visit daddy at his house? And she used to think that he worked there. Okay, the little caption picture of Demania and her father at visitation. Okay, this article is by Cadillac Dixon. So this video is getting too long, like
It is
usual.
long.
So I'm only gonna read y'all the first article, and I'll save the other articles for another video. But this is my first like little article. I forgot what they call these. They're not they're not feature articles. There's something else they call them. But right now I can't remember actual words. Damania Jackson's parents were so in love. They had just gave birth to this amazing little girl. Unbeknownst to them, that would be some of the last memories they would make as a family together. Just 9 months later, Damania's father, Marcello Jackson's life changed forever. Marcello was at the wrong place at the wrong time and ended up being accused in a crime that there was no tangible evidence of him committing. Marcello took his case to trial, believing after doing so his good. Oh, I can't see. And I'm trying to read with emotion and can't even see. Oh, Marcello took his case to trial, believing after doing so his good name would be cleared and his happy family could move on with life together. That would be furthest from what happened. Marcello lost his trial despite the lack of evidence. Prior to trial, Marcello was able to get out on bond and he became the full time babysitter and breadwinner for the family. Demania's and her father's bond grew tighter and closer. That is until at age 9 months when her father went to trial and was sentenced to pass what he should have been under the law then 1020 life. Her father was sentenced to 3 times what he should have been under the law. That later would be deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. Nevertheless, Damania does not know what it is to spend a birthday, holiday, school function, or anything else with her father. Damania was just 9 months when she began visiting her father in jail. Visiting her father in jail. Back then, there was face to face, non contact visit at jail where Damania would jump at a several inch thick glass in attempts to get to her father. She would have this look upon her face like, why won't daddy get me? As she got older, she knew there was something different because daddy lived in this big house that would spend they would spend hours to travel to, but for some reason he never came home with her. Around age 10 or 11 is when she realized what was happening. At this point, she would constantly ask her father, when are you coming home, daddy? Her father never had an answer for her because he did not ever want to give her that life shattering number they sentenced him to. Demania and her father and mother always held on to hope that one day her father's story would get out and someone would feel compelled to help them during.
Hope is a killer. hope will keep you. Ooh, hope is what kept me in this situation for 21 years. That's some darn hope. Boy.
This terrible time in life. Marcello, her father, tried everything he could, from appeals to habeas corpus to just trying to get news outlets and communities. What? To just trying to get news outlets and the community to listen. Needless to say, nothing
Sleepy.
relieved Marcello of his unjust sentence. Demania eventually grew up. Grew, yeah.
Yep.
Can I read what's on
Time
his
don't
paper?
last forever.
Demania eventually
He
grew
missed it.
colder and more distant. She would go through problems at school, and the counselors and teachers would not know what to do. There were many times that Demania would just burst out into tears. When asked what was wrong with her, she would say she just wants her father. Why does all the other kids have fathers and she doesn't? Demania therefore grew up in a single parent home where her mother worked consistently overnight so that she can still be with her during the days, while her mother put herself as well through school, cosmetology, graphic design, and web design. This family has come so far, but not far enough from these bars that separate them. Dun dun dun. Yes, yes, y'all. Can I reach my back to pat myself on the back? Girl, how did y'all like that writing? Let me know.
Yeah,
Was
your
that a good
girl is a
written, well
fighter.
written article? I don't know. Maybe I'm just, I don't know. And then just across from that is the Daddy Daughter Dance. That's the children's book
That's
I'm
what me and
working
Monty
on
was supposed to
with my daughter.
do.
Yes, she's a little author.
I
He's an
designed that.
author. He's written 3 books.
She wanted nothing more than to go to the daddy daughter dance with her dad. And Monty was really upset about that because she was like, all the other kids have freaking fathers. I am like the only child that doesn't. Though she didn't know. See, this is why it's good to be in these networks because you really don't realize that other people are suffering through this as well. You think you are alone. I promise you, for the good, let's say, until I found social media and prison wife networks and stuff like that, really the first one I found was Strong Prison Wives and Families. Let me tell you, until I found them, I literally thought I was a freaking freak. I was a freak. I was this crazy Looney Tune that is in this situation that nobody else is in because I never met anybody in person at that thus far that was in the same type of situation. And definitely not anybody that's standing by their man, fighting for their man. Um, Majority people leave. Like most times they leave before that gavel even hits the desk. They gone. Not many stay, and then some. They try to stay, but it's almost impossible. It's not impossible. The only reason it's not impossible is because I've done it. So I know it's not impossible, but it's darn near impossible. Yeah.
So we all kind of write and stuff. So this is the cover, Daddy Daughter Dance. Dee misses her dad. All she wants is for him to accompany her to the dance. Dee wants nothing more than for her father to be able to accompany her to the father daughter dance. This story does not have a fairy tale ending, though, because Dee's father is away in June. This children's book was written by Money, the daughter of a Florida inmate, and illustrated by Cadillac, his wife. Coming soon where books are sold. Girl, we sticking that into existence. That's really coming. Shit, we gonna do that. We are doing that. Yes. And then there's the feature article. But we're going to continue this in another video because this is getting really long. I don't know how
I never
it ends up being
continued
that
it.
long. I do not try to do that. So we're going to stop right there. I will do a part 2. And
Man.
this magazine, I want to send this to senators, the senators, the committee members. Like that's a thought. Like when I
When we went to session, I think it's 2 years ago, I printed this magazine up and handed it out. You know, I think they probably balled it up though. They ain't look at it. But I started handing out the magazine. So I felt like it was an easier way to tell his story. And then also, who in the heck would go through this much work for somebody that to fight a sentence of somebody that actually is guilty? Like, literally, use some type of common sense. If this man was guilty, I don't think I would give my whole entire life. I can't be that stupid, can I? I know people think I'm dumb, but I can't be that dumb. Like, who that dumb? I definitely would not be giving my whole life if he literally did the alleged crime that they got him in there for. Which, in the alleged crime, nobody was shot, killed, hurt. So I'm really not understanding how this much time is warranted. You know, in the case of Valentino Dixon, the guy was actually killed. He's dead. So that's why they warranted the 39 years. Now, granted, they had the wrong person, but that's what brought about that much time, was because the person was outed. In Marcello's case, nobody was even touched, hurt, scarred, broke a nail, nothing. They went into the situation and came out the situation the same way. The only person harmed in that whole ordeal is Marcello Jackson, because he left with his life gone. He left the situation with his life gone. Him accepting a ride from his cousin that was out on bond, that had priors, that was stopped by a police officer, and instead of stopping, he sped off in a high speed chase. Takes the car to a dead end road, jumps out the car, leaves Marcello in the car, and the two guys that he was taking into the hood across the street from the club to get right, leaves all three of them in the car and bails. They lie and say he was never caught. He was caught, in fact. But I guess he made some type of deal. We have those papers saying he was giving confidential information. So once you do that, you get almost immunity from the situation. And then at that point, the whole case turned to Marcello Jackson being the mastermind, even though Marcello Jackson was not the driver, even though Marcello Jackson, they never proved he had a weapon, never brought any type of evidence, but they still charged him with a weapon. No fingerprints, no GSR, no nothing. And even if there were a weapon said by everybody not to have been fired. So I truly do not understand, within 10-20 life, how did they get past the 20 years? 10 was for the commission of a crime with a weapon. 20 as if the weapon was pulled. So they lie and said the weapon was pulled. Life is what the judge said he wanted to give him, but he gonna give him 40 years just so he'll have another shot at life. So life was if the trigger was pulled and somebody was hurt or outed. How did they give Marcello 40 years? It should have stopped at 20. If you're gonna wrongfully convict him, at least wrongfully convict him correctly, which makes no sense, but You know what I'm trying to say. But let's get into a video of Valentino Dixon because I am getting so sleepy, girl, and I'm still up here painting. I'm about to be going to bed. I used to, when I was in school, I literally would fall asleep like this at the table. It's almost 3, so we could push it to 3 a.m. Today is Juju's birthday, so I gotta hang out with my big buddy. So I can't stay up all night with you guys. The heck? I ain't trying to do no keyboard shortcuts. I know all them, girl. I know my shortcuts. Okay, so let's go back to Valentino Dixon. There was a couple of videos. And if y'all don't help me, all the work I've done thus far is literally in vain. That magazine, this artwork, this YouTube channel, all of it's in vain. All of it's in vain. Let's subscribe to his channel. Oh, he has a different channel. So how old is that one? I'm already subscribed to this one. Okay, so anyways, let's check out. Where's that video that I was trying to play? Dang, he been on every show you could think of. Him walking out them doors. Now this is a little too much for me to watch because every time I watch stuff like this, it makes me think about Marcello coming home, and then the next thought is, damn, he's never coming home. Not till Jesus comes back. Oops, wrong video. Girl, I clearly was not trying to click on that video. This one. Maybe I really can't see that. What is this? Why are we back on my... What is going on? Why are we back on my video? I just clicked on Valentino Dixon's video, and now, what is this? Okay, what we got going on? That whole video list we literally just looked at is gone. Okay. Where's the... Smile. There it is, him coming home 4 years ago.
Well, this is a story that we have been following for quite some time. A man who was wrongfully convicted for murder and spent 27 years behind bars is tonight a free man. Good evening once again. I'm Scott Levin.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. Valentino Dixon went before a judge to be exonerated.
Please Google Marcello Jackson, wrongfully convicted Florida man. Please help me if you can.
Today, and another man who confessed to the crime pleaded guilty to the 1991 killing. Channel 2's Claudine Ewing has been following this story and was on hand for its conclusion.
Valentino Dixon can now smile. He's a free man.
It's unbelievable.
He was serving 39 years to life. He spent 27 years in prison at Attica and Wendy, all the while saying he did not murder Toriano Jackson. Today, a judge exonerated him of murder, but the gun charge sticks. And this man, Lamar Scott, who confessed 10 times, including twice to Channel 2, that he was the killer, was charged with manslaughter and assault. And now the Dixon family can breathe.
What is the first thing you want to say to him when you see him?
His beautiful daughter.
Daddy, it's It's time that we start living life together out in the real world.
She wants to get her dad a cell phone. Valentino stood before a judge, and because audio was not allowed, we can only show you the crowd applauding as he was exonerated of murder.
I could only dream of this freaking day.
Oh my God. But outside, as he left the courthouse, no longer wearing prison-issued clothes, the cheers were loud, and he had a message.
Prison rhetoric with the mass incarceration needs to stop, and we need to come up with a solution on how to, render justice for those that's poor. Because if you don't have any money...
That part, they targeting the freaking poor folks. And everybody wants to say, well, they shouldn't have did what they did. That people that got money get out of it. They still do what they do. They get out of it. Because it's about money. It's a game.
It's hard to get justice because the system is not equipped and designed to give a poor person a fair trial.
We got to talk with him briefly after court.
I always felt this day would come, but I didn't know when. Okay? Because God always sent me the signs.
And it came before Jesus came there.
Every time I was in the funk or I felt like, I can't go any longer, God always sent somebody to help.
Coming out and seeing your mother.
That's the best feeling in the world. I just look forward to doing a lot of things that don't necessarily cost money, but just spending time with them. I like to cook, so I'm going to do a lot of cooking, and just spend quality time.
Life now as a free man will include a fight to change the criminal.
And if you are not in prison wrongfully and you don't have a loved one in prison wrongfully, be very much grateful. Be very much grateful.
The system.
My solution for prison reform is to reduce the sentencing laws. Okay, the sentencing laws are outrageous, especially in New York State. You're giving people double time.
And he's an artist. His colored pencil drawings of golf courses have been featured in golf magazines. Life now will be art and family. Valentino Dixon plans to spend time this evening with his family at Red Lobster. That was his choice. A lot of credit also goes to Georgetown University students who used this case for a prison reform project. They helped reveal that the results were negative on Dixon's hands for gun residue. Claudine Ewing, Channel 2 News.
A person's project, school project, gave that man his life back. That's crazy.
Local defense attorney Paul Cambria joins us in studio. Paul, the defendant spent almost 3 decades behind bars for a crime he did not commit. And it appears that the prosecutors had some information that they withheld. That is not good news.
That's terrible news. I mean, that cuts at the heart of the criminal justice system when the prosecutors are not ethical. If they intentionally withheld this information, which they'd have to because it's prominent, then that's an unethical act, and it really destroys the fabric of criminal justice.
Obviously, he can never get that.
But this happens all the time. See how they're reacting like, oh, this is a mistake. It's one time this happened. Baby, this happens all the time. The whole freaking darn system is flawed. It's so many people caught up in the tears of it. Like if it were gears, y'all know them clock gears, and people were falling through and getting caught and stuck in those. It's too many, and they don't want to fix it. They don't want to fix it.
Back, but in our system of justice, it's paid by money. I'm sure there will be some type of a suit.
There'll be no doubt about that. We've seen that in the past.
But money ain't gonna give you your life back. Money ain't gonna make your child small again. Money is not gonna give you that first step. Seeing that child say their first word. Money is not gonna. Marcello didn't even miss his grandchild's first step. And baby, y'all heard her say bye today. You done missed it. He done missed her first words. Like, I mean, money can't give that back to him. Only thing you could do is stop tarrying around and let him have the rest of his life that's left. But I'm still trying to break through people with their biasness that, oh, there's no way this can happen. Like, by the time I prove to you this can happen, his wrongful conviction gonna be over with. At this rate, I've literally fought for him for 21 years and haven't scratched the surface. And he has about 16 more years. So do you think he gonna have to do that 16 more years?
Wrongfully convicted, and I'm sure he'll make a claim and be compensated.
And what about, will it be even larger than normal because some of that evidence may have been withheld?
Well, I think that the fact that it was withheld, and not only that, we had somebody who confessed to the murder.
Correct.
Who's
And
recently...
what the heck happens to these people that did this? The prosecutors, what I'm saying. Nothing. They just keep going home and going to sleep. Nothing happens to them. They don't have to serve time. Nothing.
pled guilty to the murder. I think all those things will make a substantial recovery a likelihood for him.
And before I let you go, how rare is this? We do see pockets of it.
It's not rare. It happens every day.
Country. I mean, somebody always says that they're innocent, but a lot of people who are guilty say they're innocent also. But how rare is this that you find someone who says, I actually did this, and the other gentleman is let out?
Well, if you think about it, thousands of people go to trial every year, no doubt about it. And we only hear a handful of these cases where, because of DNA or...
And the reason you only hear a handful is because it takes 21 freaking goddamn years to break a story.
Thing like this, where they've discovered withholding evidence, the truth comes out. So they're very rare.
Local defense attorney Paul Cambria, always great to have you in
time.
studio, Paul.
Pleasure.
Thanks for joining us.
It's rare to break the story. Ooh, they about to make me angry. I truly want to jump through this computer screen. Okay, so let's play one of the... What's the other one I seen? This one. Let's play this one. And then we gotta go to bed. We gotta play Going to Bed. That one's 8 minutes. This one is Encore Interviews. Valentino Dixon, artist who drew his way out of prison with Augusta picture. Can you imagine if my project Reach the World really worked and all of this happened and Marcello was freed and I got all this coverage? Like, girl, could you literally imagine? I used to be able to imagine it, but y'all gotta know by it taking so long and it never happened, it's very hard for me to imagine. But just imagine. Girl. My work not being in
Dixon
vain.
and Tiger Woods were shoulder to shoulder.
Valentino Dixon, nominated for 2 Emmys and a gold medal recipient from the Vatican.
The greatest golfer of all time, Jack Nicklaus.
I have great respect for Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
He's been commissioned to be the official artist of the Jack Nicklaus Golf Course designs in Buffalo.
Gather all of these images, and I'm going to play with it in my brain, and I'm going to start working things.
Last month, former First Lady Michelle Obama bought Dixon's drawing of the 12th hole of the Augusta National Golf Club as a Christmas present for former President Barack Obama. Obama's post about Dixon's art and his backstory went viral.
He's at Augusta National, getting golf lessons from 8-time major championship winner Tom Watson.
Featured in 4 issues of Golf Digest and appeared on In Play with Jimmy Roberts.
My God. This tells me that Project Reach the World is possible.
I'm on my way in the Encore building to do a podcast. And they surprised me. They did a golf ball with my name on it, Valentino Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
And Encore is a company that makes golf balls, revolutionary golf balls. Even though I'm not much of a golfer, you know, it's a special thing for me to have an Encore ball and to be a part of this company.
like the little beat. It's your girl Cadillac, the hottest on the track. Boy, that make you wanna.
You guys know how it is when you buy a new Mac. It's super fast at first, and then pretty soon after it starts to slow down. It's probably because you haven't been.
What's going on, Team Encore? We've got an exciting guest here today on our podcast, Valentino Dixon, world-renowned artist. Just an incredible story. For those of you that don't know, Valentino spent 27 years of his life in prison for a crime he didn't commit. He's from Buffalo, New York. Encore Golf is based out of Buffalo, New York. And when I heard about the story and realized Valentino was in Buffalo, I reached out to him, cold called him, and just said, "Hey, Valentino, we're a golf ball company. We're in Buffalo. Your story is incredibly inspiring. Would love to connect." And that's how we're here sitting today. So Valentino, welcome.
But why do you have to get to that point where you're so nationally known that people finally listen to your story? That's what I don't understand. Like, what is going to be the point that I'm no longer viewed as the crazy girl that can't find somebody else free? You know? And I'm viewed as, wow, the artist that fought for justice and freed her husband from his wrongful conviction. When does that happen? What is that mark? What is that benchmark? When does that happen? When do you transform from, because I'm sure for years he was looked down upon. He was looked down upon, but now he's praised. But he's the same person. He's literally the same person. He's the same person there, and he's the same person when he had on that little jumpsuit or whatever that, I don't know if that was a jumpsuit or if he has on the little two-piece blues like they do here in Florida. But that don't look like the same ugly blue that Florida DOC got.
Encore Golf Podcast.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
Wow.
So tell us about what life was like growing up as a kid in Buffalo.
Well, I grew up in inner city, and inner city is not easy. Okay, it's a lot of challenges, and
now this is what leads up to this prison system. Y'all listen, because people don't just get out, be birthed, and then they just want to commit crimes and go to prison. Things happen that coerce that prison, that school to prison pipeline and all that stuff.
That a young black kid faces in the city, and if you don't make the right choices, you could either find yourself dead or in prison. Mm-hmm. And that was just my reality.
Sure. And as a kid, what were your dreams, and what did you aspire to grow up to do?
I played football every day. Okay, and I wanted to be a wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay.
I was pretty good. And I also loved to draw. I started drawing when I was about 4 years old. And my grammar school art teacher noticed my talent. And she really took to me, Mrs. Charlotte Ross, wonderful woman. And she eventually got me into performing arts in the 7th grade, where I went all the way to senior year, for artwork. But that's what I love to do, football and draw.
And so I know you kind of, art went away for a while.
Yeah.
Tell us about kind of how you ended up, wrongfully in prison, and how that all came about for our listeners that may not know your story.
Well, after high school, I made some bad decisions. Started hanging out in the streets, hanging out with the wrong crowd, and found myself.
That's a big part. Watch the company you keep. Be around certain people, certain things happen. Watch the company, even if they family. In the case of Marcello Jackson, he was with his cousin, his big cousin. And being with his big cousin led to him spending more of his life behind bars than he was free. Because this happened when he was 19. He's going on 42. So Marcello has spent more than half of his life in prison. And I spent more than half of my life fighting for him.
Well, a few times. Okay. In August 10th, 1991, I was hanging out with friends and family members, and it was about a 90-person crowd at Louis' restaurants. And some guys pulled up and started shooting.
90 people? God, dog, that means that's 90 witnesses. They said 8 exonerated him, but that's 90-some witnesses.
A friend of mine returned fire, and I ran to my car and took off. Everybody kind of scattered. And these guys that started shooting actually shot a friend of mine. Okay. And I was pulled over and taken into questioning, which I did not deny that I was there at the scene of the crime. And as well, 90 other people. So I thought things were going to be cleared up. But being that I was out on bail, it was just not a good look. And the police charged me with murder, attempted murder and assault. And I still thought it would get cleared up, Well, long story short, I could not afford a good attorney, and I had to go with a public defender.
Prison deliverer.
And within 2 days, 8 people came forward to clear me the crime. And my friend that committed the crime...
You usually don't get too far with a public defender. They literally work with the prosecutors. They're basically, I'm going to say, on the same team. Marcello's acting public defender wanted nothing but for Marcello to plead. And he even admits that he knew that Marcello was being wrongfully convicted. And he says the reason he quit doing that type of law is because all they were doing is railroading black men. Literally, I promise you, those are the words that came out of his mouth.
Turned himself into the police and confessed and explained what happened. Well, he was told to leave the police station and the witnesses were disregarded. 10 months later, I found myself going to trial with the public defender who did not call any of the witnesses to the stand and did not present the confession to the jury. The jury never even knew another person confessed to this crime.
Wow.
And the lawyer at the time, he felt that there was no evidence and that we didn't need to call any witnesses. And I was 21 years at the time, but I knew that it was wrong. I knew I needed the defense and I needed somebody to come in here to clear me. And I complained to the judge about this, and I was told to remain quiet, that I was disruption in the courtroom. And which I did. I remained quiet. And the jury came back and found me guilty. And I was given a 39-year prison sentence. And I found myself in Attica Correctional Facility.
And so tell us about kind of how you adjusted to life. Obviously, you over the years, you studied, you learned law, you
adjusted. You're snatched out of your family. Your family moves on without you most times. Most family members, except for my crazy ass. And life just goes on, and you're forgotten most times.
Read 800 books.
Close to 800.
Yeah.
About 750.
And you had stopped drawing for a while, right?
Well,
and kind of, obviously.
Marcello's working on writing his 5th book. He said he got so tired of reading them same old novels, urban novels, that he just wrote his own. He got 5 books. I ain't got no time, so I haven't gotten his book typed up. I mean, I got one typed up, never got it edited and out to press. I feel like I dropped the ball on him.
I can only imagine the amount of the emotions and just things you had to work through with everything going on. But tell us a little bit about what life was like in there and how you kind of managed day to day.
Okay. Well, I stopped drawing for 10 years. Okay. after high school, I stopped drawing, and then I went to prison. I got arrested at 21. So that's 3 years. And I went to the prison. I didn't draw for the first 7 years. So that's a 10-year gap of not drawing, no artwork, no painting, no nothing. Okay. And my uncle Ronnie, he says, hey, all my appeals have been denied. After 7 years, all my appeals denied. He says, hey, you may have to draw yourself out of prison. And I'm like, what the hell is you talking about? You know. And he sent me some colored pencils and some paper. And I tossed it to the side, and it collected some dust. And I would call him once a month. And he says, hey, you start drawing yet? I says, no, Uncle, I didn't start drawing yet. He says, hey, you may have to draw your...
For an artist, it is hard to draw if you are not inspired. To paint and draw, I don't know from every artist's perspective, but from my perspective, I do my best work when I am like completely emotional. That's when I could just pour all my emotions out on the canvas.
Out of prison, if you can reclaim your talent, you can reclaim your life. Wow. He gave me something to think about. You know, I had become an avid reader, you know, so I wasn't just, you know, wasting my days, you know. And I was always the type of kid that wanted to learn about everything. So I read everything from real estate to self-help, autobiographies, history, you know, finance, just name it, I read it, you know. And I wanted to take the time to equip myself, okay? Now, here comes this idea for me to start drawing again. And when he said, you may have to draw yourself out of prison, it started to resonate. Okay.
Let me tell you, when I was in hair school, I had this friend, D. Oh my gosh. And she told me this story about this other guy. It wasn't Valentino, but it was another guy that she said would draw all these pictures. Because when she seen my project reach the world, she was like, oh my gosh, like, she literally supported me. She was like, girl, do that poem again. Let me record you while you do that poem. And it was just so crazy. Like, I've never had no support like that. And she encouraged me. And she was like, there was this guy that basically he would draw. He was in prison and he would draw all these famous people. And he would send his art to them with the letter about his case and this and that. And literally somebody, I can't remember, I forgot who the person was, but she said he basically drew his way out of prison. So this is the second time I heard that. And I held on to that story that she told me. And I was like, wow, if, you know, that person can do it, then I can definitely do it as well. And it's another guy that I want to show you that basically painted and drew his way out of prison. He wasn't wrongfully convicted, but I don't think he was wrongfully convicted, but he was pardoned by Obama because of a painting he did. And now he's out and he's making a difference. I mean, people deserve... I don't think a case should stop and no one ever, and that's what we were fighting for in Florida. They know that when we got this last state attorney, like literally they seen that there were so many cases that basically people were not getting fair trials at all. They weren't being sentenced correctly. They weren't getting fair trials. So they petitioned and said that anybody in Orange County could, you know, file for a new hearing, which we're years into waiting for that result. Feels like everything takes years and years. But they were saying because it was so much wrongdoing in, you know, anybody in Orange County could filed to be heard again, basically, and you didn't have to get newly discovered evidence or anything like you would usually have to, because it was found that it was a lot of wrongdoing done, and people are incarcerated and sentenced to more time, especially black people. They sentence black people to 3 to 4 times more than any other race. Whew, we get it bad. But girl, I forgot the thought I was talking about. What was I talking about? I was finna tell y'all something. What he was talking about, girl. I take so long to say what I want to say that I forget what I'm saying in the middle of it.
Now, here comes this idea for me to start drawing again. And when he said you may have to draw yourself out of prison, it started to resonate. Okay. And I was not even sure if I still had the talent.
But I don't remember what I was saying. On the replay, I guess I'll catch it. But yeah, my friend, she was supporting me. And I need more people like that in my life. Like, I pray that God sends me some more people like that. I had a couple of people when I was at graphic design school that were like that. Those genuine people that literally looked out for you and encouraged you. Because I lose encouragement. But when God sends you somebody that literally hard down just wants to see you succeed, girl. But let's finish listening, because I had a whole point. But girl, when you watch the replay, you can be like, well, you never said what you was going to. I'll possibly go back and type it in, because I don't remember what I was saying, girl. I'm tired.
I took a chance and I drew a rose. And when I drew this rose, the other inmates who knew me for years says, you know how to draw? So it's kind of embarrassing, you know. And I said, yeah, I think I know how to draw. I said, oh, you're a wonderful artist. Wow, this is cool. You know, so that kind of gave me a push to keep going. And I started drawing every day, and it never stopped. And I would draw up to 10 hours a day, you know, and then read another 3 hours, then go work out for an hour. So that was my whole day. My whole days was taken up, you know. And
wow, good for him.
I did this for the last 20 years of prison, never taking a day off, okay? But after 20 years, the prison warden came to me and he says, hey, Valentino, because I was known as the artist in Attica by then. Everybody knew me. The warden would walk by and see me drawing. He said, you think you could draw my favorite golf hole? And I'm like, I don't know, warden. I'm from the inner city. I never golfed before, you know. You know where I'm from, and we both started laughing. But I knew I could draw the picture. I said, whatever it is, bring it in. So he brought me in the 12th hole of Augusta. What is Augusta? What is the 12th hole of Augusta? I have no clue, okay? But it seems interesting. It has this bridge, you know, it has these flowers, you know, it's different than your ordinary golf course. It has...
It's freedom.
...to it as far as I'm concerned, you know. And I drew it for him. He loved it. And this is the picture right here. This is a copy, you know, of the 12th hole. It's the first golf drawing.
First one.
Okay, first one. And he loved it. He took it home. He made me a copy. And so I was done with golf. I mean, this is a world that I know nothing about. And my neighbor, Adam Roberts, he was a pretty smart guy who attended Syracuse University, okay? He says, hey, Valentino, you might, you know, need to draw, you know, some more golf holes. I said, Adam, what the hell are you talking about? What am I draw golf holes for? He says, you know, it doesn't hurt to put together a collection, some type of collection, you know.
Do you see how God nudges you in the way that you should go? You literally don't have a direction. He's just doing things. And then this person gives you inspiration to do this and that. And then it all just formulates and comes together as God's plan that he had for you in the first place. Isn't that crazy?
Or to have a collection. So I says, well, I don't know, Adam. So he came and tossed some Golf Digest magazines on my bed maybe a week later, old issues. He said, the guy upstairs, he gets the Golf Digest every month. He has a ton of old issues, you know. So I told him about you drawing the Waters golf hole, and he sent these down. So you know what? About maybe 4 or 5 days later, I started looking through the issues. I said, you know what? Maybe I might find something here that's interesting, that's worth drawing. And I believe I came across Pebble Beach. All right. It had a lot of character to it, and it was right on the ocean. Okay. So I drew Pebble Beach. The other inmates are coming by. I don't know what they're going to think. I'm thinking that they're not going to be too keen on me drawing golf courses. They're used to me drawing either abstract art, African art, animals, things like that. You know, guys in prison, what could they know about the world of golf? You know, you just think that, you know, these people come from a different environment that does not equal to golf. You know, and I hate to say that, but that's my reality.
Sure.
You know, but surprisingly, the guys in prison love the golf drawings.
It's freedom.
And I'm like, wow, these guys, have you ever golfed? No, I never golfed before, but I love that picture. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so if this non-golfer loves this picture, the golfers have to love this picture eventually. They see this, they have to love it. Mm-hmm. So I started drawing golf courses every single day.
Wow.
Every day. I was doing a different maybe every other day I was doing a different golf course. So I started drawing golf courses every day,
and that's listening to your audience. When your audience gives you feedback, then you can know what to do.
I just went everywhere. You know, I went any golf course that I thought had character, I was drawing it. Okay. And after I had about 40 drawings, 40 different golf courses, I started reading the columns in the Golf Digest magazine with Golf Saved My Life by Max Adler. Okay, and each month Max would cover a story of some type of challenge that someone was going through. And the only time they felt good is when they golfed.
Aww.
One guy had been in the Iraqi war, he lost his arm, and he said the only time his spirit felt alive is when he golfed. So I started to correlate that with my situation. I had 20 years in prison, you know, and I felt like golf was giving me a new lease on life. It was strange. You know, I never golfed, but here I am drawing this golf course, and I felt like I was in this peaceful place. And so I eventually went from this size, and I moved up to that size right there, to a 20 by 30. Okay.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, and that right there is the 13th hole of Augusta. Why Augusta? Because Augusta has so many pretty, beautiful landscapes. You know, the brown dirt, the flowers, the trees. There's always some type of little bridge basically going through parts of Augusta. And so I decided to write a 4-page letter to the Golf Digest and explain what happened to me. Okay. And that I was in prison, a black kid from the inner city that never golfed. I'm in prison drawing golf courses. I sent him one of the drawings. He was so taken by the story.
That was just the right place, right time, right person, right, everything just right. Because they could have took that letter and just threw it to the side. Or like people would do for me with Project Reach the World, they love my art, but they don't give two darns about my story. They never look into my story. They would never, ever, ever. I used to package my art with my CD with the story. I basically do art through music too. I mean, I'm a lyricist. I'm a poet. So I would tell the story through music. They would never listen to it, ever. They wouldn't read the little thing that came with it of why I painted them this picture or nothing. They just received, it's like receiving a gift and just throwing the rest away. I mean, it never, so it was grace of God. Again, God just formulating his story that it got to the right person with that heart to receive his story. Because not everyone has that heart to receive or to listen. Not everybody has that listening heart. Not everybody has that compassionate heart. Not everybody has that empathetic heart. So for him to get to that person, wow.
That he asked to see my trial transcripts. I explained to him that I was innocent. And once Max read my trial transcripts, he concluded, like anybody else would have, that I didn't commit this crime. And he told me that he was going to write about this. And in July 2012, I came out 3-page article in the Golf Digest magazine, which got the attention of the Golf Channel. And they did a short documentary which was nominated for an Emmy Award, which got the attention of Associated Press and news outlets all over the country, which eventually got the attention of Georgetown University, who I worked with for 6 months, the undergrad students, 3 undergrad students, and we discovered a Brady violation that the prosecutor committed, in the sense that when I was arrested, my car and my clothes was taken in for evidence to see if I fired a weapon. Well, anyway, once these items were tested, they were never turned over. And ultimately, this is what freed me. You know, the students did a documentary, and the prosecutor actually admitted that the evidence came back negative, but he never turned it over.
They never disclosed.
He never disclosed the evidence, and ultimately, this is what cleared me.
So, in prison, you had a reputation of helping out fellow prisoners. They'd come to you.
That's why I need somebody to look at Marcello's case, because we don't know what's lying. All I know is what common sense can tell you ain't right. Tell any darn human being paying attention ain't right. But as far as all those violations, like, that can actually turn it over, like, I literally need somebody to show us, like, what is it that we can stand on that actually has legs. We keep standing on this table that topples over every time we stand up on it. Even though it is the truth should not be that hard to.
Yeah, for advice. How did that come about? I think I've heard you say you were the Dr. Phil of.
Yeah, well, they call me the Black Dr. Phil.
Dr. Phil, okay.
Because, as I said, Steve, I read everything, man. You know, anything that could help uplift a person, I was reading it. And prison is a place that's designed to break your spirit. Very depressing. You know, it can be a very, dangerous place. You know, people are on edge all the time. You know, different personalities clash. You know, guys are going through different things. And
don't forget the guards.
They would come to me, with family issues, legal issues,
chips on their shoulder,
everyday prison issues.
Not Doritos,
and
girl.
Because prison is such a violent place, I had a model that 99% of the time, these issues can be resolved without violence. Okay, so whenever I became aware of a situation within the prison, I took a chance, even though I had all of these drawings around me. I took a chance to go to try to resolve the issue. Okay, even some of the prison guards came to me with family issues. Yeah, and spousal issues. I read books on relationships, all kind of stuff like that. So you throw a scenario up at me, a situation, and I'm going to give you my best solution. And usually. I make sure that it's a good solution, that it's just not something that I don't have any proof to support it. Okay, you don't want to give somebody bad information, But yeah, they call me the Black Dr. Phil, and which is why, I would be drawing and talking almost all day long. So if I'm drawing for 10 hours, I got inmates coming to my cell. It'll be 5 guys lined up. One guy as I'm talking to, these other 4 is waiting. Yeah, it was crazy, a crazy scene. And this came with, me being in prison so long. You know, of course I didn't have this type of influence early on. I was, you know, I was not a person that nobody wanted to come to for advice, you know, but because of my studies and, you know, where my mind took me, you know, people begin to recognize that, you know, he's not only practical, but, you know, his solution and his conclusion here is a good one for us. So let's trust his judgment, you know, that type of thing. But, you know, this is what prompted me to come out with the Draw and Talk With Me show, you know, because I watched Bob Ross paint, you know, on PBS.
I sure did. I used to wake up early in the morning to watch. I sure did.
Because I was drawing and talking. I said, you know what, I want to do a draw and talk show. I want to bring people on my show, teach them how to draw, and let's talk about a real life issue. You know, I've had athletes on my show, pro athletes, 3 Hall of Famers, you know, a heart doctor, school kids, teachers, 20 people that has Parkinson's disease, you know, a Buffalo police officer, you know, the list goes on, a homeless person. How does this person become homeless? This person has a story here.
I know, that's
you know?
right.
And it's important to try to learn about the things that we don't know about.
Yes, so we can stop prejudging people.
How did you get to that
prejudice, prejudging
place where you could forgive people who you know did wrong by you and come out and make such a huge success of yourself?
Though.
The Bible tells us
you know it's a few people that did wrong by him, but it's our society that upholds this wrongdoing. That's like when your child do something wrong. Do you sit there and uphold that child? Or do you tell and teach and show that child how what they're doing is wrong? And then you make them correct those actions. Or you, if you can't make them, you lead them, you tell them that they should correct their actions. You don't just jump behind them because they're your child. But we're just jumping behind this system because it's our justice system and it has to be right. It's wrong. How about that part?
God forgives us. So who am I not to forgive the person that wrongs me? Okay. And I'm a healthy guy. I made it out of there. I'm going to be grateful for that. You know, when I was in prison, I paid attention to what was going on in the world. So you hear about horrific things happening every day. Whether it's a car accident, a fire, a 10-year-old kid losing their life to cancer. Okay? I'm a 51-year-old guy. I'm going to be grateful and thankful that I made it to 51 years old.
Wow.
You know, most people look at me and they say, this guy, he didn't do a day in prison. How did he do 27 years in prison? Impossible. You know, and that's just another blessing from our Creator.
Well, watching one of your videos, one of your interviews, and someone commented that, you know, you looked so young and youthful, and they said God blessed him with 2 lives.
Oh, wow. Wow. Well, you know, sometimes God can bless us with 10 lives, you know, because life is a progressive thing, all right? And I would like to think I'm always constantly reinventing myself, okay? What is it I haven't done? What is it I need to do? What is it I need to avoid? Okay, what do I want to do in the next year or accomplish in the next 5 years? Okay, but it's all about getting better and then helping others get better.
What would you say the next chapter for Valentino Dixon is?
Well, the next chapter is, well, for me, is my book will be coming out, hopefully in about 6 months. You know, The Soul of an Unfreed Man. I'll get a Netflix deal, okay, for my Draw and Talk With Me show. A documentary will be released, and a movie. I'm talking with 2 filmmakers right now. But most importantly, how do I make the world a better place? How do I take this success and help those in need? Okay? And this is the type of legacy that I want to leave.
That's what I want to do.
And for our listeners, Team Encore, how can we help? How can audience members that are moved by your story help?
Well, what you can get from me and take from me is that to never give up. No matter what you're going through, we're all going to be tested with something. We don't get to decide the test. Mine was 27 years of wrongful imprisonment. Yours may be a death in the family, maybe a illness that you're going to have to battle through. Okay? But just know that if you hang in there and if you stay strong and you stay positive, that things...
If I hold in there, is it really hope for tomorrow? Grandmama, I hope so, because I can't take no more sorrow.
Going to turn out great for you. And how you can help is donate to my Prison Reform Foundation, the Valentino Dixon Foundation, which helps to stop wrongful convictions and also to help these inner city kids stay out of trouble, to provide programs for these kids.
That's the point. You gotta start. It starts from somewhere. They don't just run to prison, born and run to prison. It's something wrong. It's something beneath the surface that is going on, that is, it's a disease. It's something happening. They're not just running to prison.
Okay. And I want to build a community center, a learning center on the east side. My neighborhood, there's nothing there for these kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, anybody
nothing
that
there
sees
but the prison.
Hey, get in touch with me and possibly help me raise some money, you know, for we can make these things a reality.
Thank you for joining us, Valentino. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Steve. Thank you.
All right, guys. So I'm tired. We're going to close this up with my video, Hold You Down. And then I'm going to be going to, oh gosh, it's already 3:30 in the morning. Juju going to get me. This is his birthday, girl. Freedom through art and music. Project Reach the World showed me that Valentino Dixon showing me that it can happen. And just like life told me, you know, Project Reach the World started with me meeting Life Jennings. Huh? 3:30. Meeting Life Jennings is actually what started me doing Project Reach the World. Of course, at that time, I didn't have a name for it. But that's what he told me. He said, life is possible. And tell that man of yours that life is possible. So let's listen to this and close out this video.
Using hair show like attention.
Hold You Down.
Yeah, here's some right here. This for my love. My one true love. The only man I ever loved. You know who he is, boo. I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down. No matter what goes down, I'ma be around to hold you down. You was right here whenever I needed you. So now that you need me, I'ma do what I gotta do. And you was right here when I got pregnant, baby. You never once ran away from your responsibilities. And when I went in labor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to point out this one thought. Now you see how he's making a difference through his art. He wouldn't be able to do that if he was up there. He could, but it would be stalled if he was on a workshop. See, it's hard to be in your purpose and do your purpose when you have to constantly focus on work. So he's now freed from prison. So he's not up there wasting his time working. Like, I mean, if he had to survive, I'm sure he would. But he's up there just painting and painting and painting and advocating. Like, it's very hard to be in your purpose when we are just working our lives away. And I think that's a big design of society, to keep us working our lives away so that we never look up and see what's going on. We don't see these wrongful convictions happening. We don't see, because we all just tired, girl. We all going to bed. None of this is seen because we're so tired and sleep deprived and just working and just working and just working just enough to survive so that you always work. If we worked and made enough to put away for tomorrow, eventually you can wean yourself off of working. That's why it's only just enough to survive. But it's hard to be in your purpose when you're just surviving in survival mode.
Holding my hand and saying, baby girl, it's gonna be alright. We was the picture perfect family. Till you got caught in the streets. You was at the wrong place, at the wrong time with the wrong homie. But I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down. No matter what goes down, I'ma be around to hold you down. I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down. No matter what goes down, I'ma be around to hold you down. Now I'ma write this letter and seal it up with a kiss. And I'ma pray that somehow, some way, this letter brings you some happiness. Because life in there, I know it gotta be a living hell, yeah. So far from the ones who love you, so far away from the ones who care. You see that then you're just a number, another menace to society. But you're my home and my love and my friend, baby, and you're my everything. Feels like I'm ripping at my heart and leaving it on the table. Cause that's the feeling that I get when visitation's over, baby, and I'm leaving you. But I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down. No matter what goes down, I'ma be around to hold you down. I'ma hold you down. I'ma hold you down. No matter what goes down, I'ma be around to hold you down.
Yeah. Good night, guys. There we go. Prince is gonna get these pictures after a while. All right, y'all. Love you. It's your girl Cadillac. #FreeMarcello.